Hey, what's going on, everyone? Dear fine human beings of planet Earth existing right now in this moment, in this experience, whatever this existence is, it's happening, and it's an honor to share it with all of you right now in this moment. So, I just wrapped up a session with a new client that I've been working with, and something came up in the session that I get asked a lot, that comes up a lot, which is, I'm so busy. It just seems like life is just one thing after another. It's just so chaotic and so fast paced, and I just feel like I'm barely keeping up, and I'm having difficulty being productive and having any breathing room to do anything. So, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of us out there who are experiencing this or have experienced this. And, well, there's a few things I'd like to share and put out there that might help. The first thing is an example that could help, which is if you have a sweater or a jumper, pullover, whatever you call it, and you're trying to take it off quickly, sometimes doing it that way, you're going to wind up spending a lot more time, trying to take it off. It's going to get stuck. It's going to be difficult. You're going to expend a lot of unnecessary energy. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get upset. And you could even wind up damaging your sweater or injuring yourself, right? So there's like a whole bunch of negative outcomes that can happen trying to rush it and do it quickly. Whereas if you try to take your sweater off slowly, calmly, you're probably going to take it off a lot more quickly and effectively. The same principle applies in fighting. So there's so the answer to this question that came up in the session, which is how can I be more productive, and how can I get more things done, and how can I get more of that breathing room in my life? The answer is that there's this strange, mysterious, weird, counterintuitive trick to being more productive, and that is to do things slowly, more calmly, and to put more breaks in your time and more breaks in your life. And like I said, it's very counterintuitive, which means that it doesn't make sense. It's like, well, if I want to get more things done, I should be doing things more quickly. But again, go back to that sweater example that I said. If you try to take a sweater off quickly, you're going to actually spend more time doing it. It's the same if you're trying to open open your door lock, and you're rushing it. Whereas if you just do it slowly and calmly, it's going to open more quickly and effectively, right? So someone who's rushing opening a door or lock, as opposed to someone who does it calmly, the person who goes through life with more ease and calm and more relaxed pace is actually going to wind up getting more done more quickly, and doing a better job. Okay, but for a lot of people, for the majority of people, this concept is too scary to attempt. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people. And I would say 8 people out of 10 are going to have difficulty even wanting to try it or do it. Okay? So how do we apply this principle to our life to be more productive, to create more free time and more space? One of my, let's say, important goals, life objectives. For me, high on the list is to create free time in my life. To me, free time is a sign of success. To me, the greater free time you're able to achieve is, to me, a sign of that you're more successful. Okay? Because to me, that's like where the real living happens, when you have free time to actually live, to do whatever it is you want to do. Draw, work on music, just having that free time where you're not rushing from one to another. Let's call it the rat race, right? So applying that principle of the jumper, the sweater, or opening a lock with the key calmly, applying those analogies, those examples into life to be more productive, I would say take a break. Just stop whatever it is you're doing and just sit for 5 minutes, switch off or get rid of your phone, and just focus on nothing other than your breath. Whatever, if you want to listen to a piece of music, but the less you do, the better. And just take 5 minutes to do absolutely nothing. Don't even worry. Give yourself permission to not worry about anything. Give yourself permission to just do nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'll give you another example that ties into that, which was some great advice that was passed down to me a long time ago when I was doing my A-level exams in England. So A-levels are pretty hard exams, arguably as difficult as college, university level. And the advice that I was given was, you see, like everybody for their A-levels are super nervous because it's pretty much going to dictate your future. How well you do on these exams can have a really big impact on what university, what college you wind up going to, and you're just the rest of your life. So people get super nervous in these exams, super anxious. They've been studying for months and months to do well, and then the moment you're in the exam hall, we're sitting there, people just can't wait to turn the page and start their exam, right? The advice that I was given was, when the clock hits the top of the hour and the teacher says you may now begin, rather than diving in and starting that paper immediately, wait exactly 1 minute, 60 seconds before you open your paper and then begin. Now, the point being is that you are basically taking control of the pace. You are going into it not being pulled along by fear, but you're going into it from a position of power, you could say from a position of wholeness, from a position of control, from a position of love versus fear, right? So when we do things from that place, we tend to be far more successful in whatever it is we're trying to achieve. While if we are being dragged along through our day, being pulled by one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, we tend to make mistakes, and the outcomes are a lot less successful. So taking breaks, while to most people might seem like not a productive thing to do, I would argue the opposite, that taking breaks is one of the most productive things you can do to just do things at a higher quality in a shorter amount of time. The break that you take is so energizing. It's not about that you're taking a time out. It's more of a psychological thing that you are basically seizing the day, taking control of the pace in which you do things, and putting yourself in a vantage position, in a like higher ground, like you're putting yourself in a place where you can oversee and move forward, like I said, at your own pace, which you'll see great successful fighters in the ring, in the octagon, in the cage, on the mats will do as well. They will dictate the pace of the fight. It's usually the fighters that dictate the pace of the fight that are more successful. It's like leading a dance. It's being the leader of the dance as opposed to being led, right? So that's the first thing I would say as a massive key to being much more successful and productive in life in general, but also like with work and accomplishing tasks. Next thing I would say is write lists down. Write to-do lists. To-do lists is huge. Has helped me significantly in my life, especially if you're a really busy person, you've got a lot of things going on. Writing to-do lists is huge. So all you need is like the lined little notepads. And what I like to do is I will list all the things that need to be done. And on the left-hand side, next to each line item, I'll put like a little code that will help me refer what those tasks basically refer or relate to. For example, I'll have home as a code. Those are things that I need to do that are related to my house. I'll have, house and garden. I'll have my record label stuff. I'll have, mouth of the ape things. I'll have, several different codes, maybe 4 or 5 codes at most. And then that way I'll be able to look down the list very quickly and see, okay, what home things can I work on today? Or what record label things can I work on today? Or what mouth of the ape things can I work on today? Or what music things? Or what, so writing lists is huge. And a little sort of like a bonus side effect that you will experience when writing lists is before you will write a list, you will think 9 times out of 10 that there is so much stuff going on, and it's like just like this chaos in your mind of like, oh, this and oh, that, and oh, I need to do this and I need to do that. By the way, another code I have is my car stuff, auto stuff, right? So prior to writing a list down, you will just like, it's all kind of like uncategorized. So you feel lost and there's insecurity and fear that can be triggered by that. Unknown, not knowing things can trigger anxiety, fear, right? Disorganization, right? Disorganization, not knowing, not having things organized, all trigger fear, anxiety, and whatnot. So again, these are little hacks, right? So if you like to make the improvements to reduce anxiety, reduce disorganization, increase productivity, increase your free time, these are little hacks. Maybe some of them will work for you, maybe all of them will work for you, right? So when you write a list, one of the cool little perks or side effects that arises out of that is that you will realize that, oh, actually I don't have as much stuff going on as I thought I did or feared that I did, right? When you actually start writing them down and you put them all down in paper, you'll realize, oh, there's maybe like 10 or 15 things and that's it. Maybe 20 max. What else is going on? That's it. And then you'll be filled with a sense of, you'll feel like you're more in control because you've become a lot more aware, you've become a lot more organized. Another little perk and side effect of doing lists is the action of crossing tasks off. When you cross a task off a list, off a to-do list, The feeling is incredible. You get this satisfaction feeling. It's a feeling that you've accomplished a goal, that you're productive, that you have a purpose, that you're accomplishing your purpose in life. All these feelings are linked to our instinctual needs as a biological human to survive, to accomplish, to be productive, to move forward, to be growing, right? So you're crossing off a task on the list and you don't, without realizing how many things you're actually doing psychologically to yourself to improve your state of mind, your level of energy, inspiration, motivation, and overall your health, right? Your health and your strength. So it's a simple little tool that I would use as a step 2. Step 1, I cannot explain more the importance of breaks and doing things calmly. Calm and smooth is fast and effective. It's much faster and effective than trying to be fast. So calm and smooth. It's the same in fighting. If you just throw your combination, you don't have to rush it. A lot of people rush throwing their combinations or feel like they have to explode into doing a takedown or explode to throw a kick. No, it's not about that. It's about just throwing the combination, throwing the takedown with the correct technique and just doing it calmly and obviously with a good, you don't want to do it in slow motion, but you just want to throw it and do it and calm and smooth. It will actually wind up being really fast. Whereas when we try to force something fast, we don't realize that it can wind up being slower. Okay? So the first thing I would say is the breaks. Have breaks, rest, get a good night's sleep. It's going to energize you and you're going to be able to be more productive in a quicker period of time and more effective. Write lists, very important. Writing lists, the to-do lists, they are very helpful. Number 3, see, it's going to seem really like a no-brainer, but it's amazing how many of us still wind up doing this. And it came up on the call that I had earlier with my new client who I'm working with, which is be very aware of how much time you're wasting or spending on negative, unproductive things. Okay, like Facebook or social media, where those things are actually draining you and making you feel worse. Okay, negative things that bring us down, that make us doubt ourselves. We want to go through life with self-belief. We want to expose ourselves to as many things in life that will strengthen our self-belief. Self-belief is huge, and we're going to go out into a world every day where people and things are going to try to diminish our self-belief and replace it with self-doubt. They're going to make us doubt ourselves, doubt what we're doing in life, doubt how good we are, how kind we are, how skilled we are, how capable we are, how strong we are. Okay? At the end of the day, you are your best coach, and you have to constantly instill in yourself self-belief. And big part of that, instilling it in yourself, is to expose yourself to things, whether it's food, whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's YouTube videos, whether it's books, whether it's people, whether it's activities, whether it's environments that make you feel energized, inspire you, motivate you, strengthen you, and ultimately increase your self-belief, your belief in yourself, your belief in your abilities and your capabilities. Look, if you have 2 people and one of them is saying that, just the other day I follow this great teacher. His name is Paul Chek. I've talked about him a lot in the past, in my past videos. Polchek is an incredibly inspiring and knowledgeable teacher, and I'm really happy to see finally, after so many years, he's getting the recognition he deserves. Polchek posted something very recently. I follow him on Instagram. I recently started an Instagram page. I quit my old one and my Facebook and started a new one. And I've mentioned that on here to people that join my Patreon, subscribe to my Patreon. I share my Instagram information with them as one of the things in the subscription, whatever you call it, package or whatever, when you sign up and you support. So I'm not big into Instagram or social media at all, but whatever I look at when I open my Instagram has to serve my life. Okay, I don't want to look at what people are doing in their lives unless it's teaching me something, inspiring me, motivating me, energizing me, right? Strengthening me. And Polchek, his Instagram pretty much is always that. His posts are not designed to show off, look how cool I am, look how cool my life. His posts are usually about inspiring and sharing knowledge. And he posted something up there. He's got like, I need to look into it more, but he's got some sort of a rock tower, and he puts his water in there or something, and it energizes. Anyway, it got me thinking. Again, I don't know really much about that. I'm going to educate myself on what exactly he's doing. But it got me thinking about belief and how, certain people will do things where they believe, like he wrote that the water that he drinks out of those bottles, like he can feel that it strengthens him, that it makes him, it's so much more tasty and healthy than normal water, right? Now, let's say someone believes something like that, or believes something even, more like interesting, or let's say wacky or whatever. Now, if you have two people and one person is believing that, and the other person is a skeptic, and that's nonsense. What are you talking about? I'll just get my water from the supermarket and it's fine. Now, if this person who believes that the rock or the tree is giving him or her health and strength and power, and as a result, that person feels energized and feels inspired and feels just more happier, whereas the skeptic will be like, that's nonsense. How is a rock or a tree, going to make you feel better or whatever? This is something holy. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you believe. What matters is how it affects your life. Are you a happier person? Are you a stronger person? Are you more inspired? Are you more energized? And are you sharing that with people? Are you a source for happiness for other people? Are you a positive source in the world? Or are you negative to yourself and to people around you? That's all that matters at the end of the day. If you believe a rock is God, and that rock is giving you health and strength and inspiration and motivation, and it's making you a better person, a happier, kinder, more loving, energized person, and of course that is going to spread through you to everyone around you and all the things you do, then who's more intelligent? Who's a more intelligent person? The person that believes that rock is a god, or the skeptic who thinks it's nonsense but is miserable and unhealthy and uninspired and is just criticizing themselves and the world around them and spreading pretty much nothing but negativity, right? The point here is that this is why I never really argue with people's beliefs, because a great example is the placebo, the sugar pill, right? Or even placebo surgeries that they do. And I've mentioned these in my videos a lot, where they will cut open someone's knee, or someone will have a terrible injury. They'll cut open the person's knee, and they'll do nothing, and they'll seal it back up. And at the end of the operation, the doctor will tell the patient the surgery was an amazing success. We fixed everything that needs to be fixed, and you're going to be on the road to recovery. And this has happened. You can go look it up, you can go research it for yourself, where the patient will recover from a placebo surgery. And of course, many of you will know about placebo, the pill, the sugar pill, where still to this day, science cannot really explain how people taking sugar pills, believing that it's a medicine that will cure their disease, are getting healed. Not all the time, but it happens. It's about the belief, right? It's about how much they believe that this pill. It's the same as when people go to these massive religious ceremonies and the preacher or pastor will put his or her hand on someone's head and then say, "You are now healed," right? So you cannot criticize or make fun of people's religions or faiths, no matter how crazy or wacky they are, if it's having a positive impact on their life, if it's working for them, right? Now, if it's not, then it's a different story, right? So, going back to being more productive, and so we've got take breaks, do things calmly. Calm is faster, is more efficient, is more quicker. Number 2, making lists of things. Okay? Number 3 is be mindful and very aware of how you're wasting your time and what you're exposing yourself to that can be draining your energy, because energy is what we need to be more productive and effective with our time, right? If we're drained, if we've just been on Facebook for 10 or 15 minutes just looking at how amazing everyone's life is, how everyone's all on vacation and eating all the best foods. Yeah, right. I've been there. I'm sure you've all been there when people are having the time of their lives and they're just pretty much on their phone, just taking pictures, and that's them having the time of their life. Selfies by the beach. This is what them having a time of their life looks like. With their friends, all their friends on their phones too. Right? So a lot of social media is just people showing off to each other. And not really inspiring, sharing inspirational things with the rest of their human brothers and sisters, but it's more like, look at how great I am, right? Well, if I'm trying to show how great I am, this isn't about helping each other. It's about competitiveness, and it's more about, well, if I'm up here, you are going to be down here. So be mindful of what you're exposing yourself to. And if at the end of the day you have difficulty figuring out what's good or bad in your life, just focus on the result. Focus on how do you feel after you've done this thing. How do you feel after you've spent 10 or 15 minutes or an hour on Facebook? Do you feel inspired? Do you feel motivated? Do you feel energized? Do you feel better? Or do you feel like shit? Do you feel drained? Do you feel like now your head is full of all these thoughts that are kind of creating anxiety in you and depression, like, oh, I need to go on vacation. My life needs to be just that good. Does the activities you're doing, are they creating expectations that are just making your life more miserable? Remember, I did a video not too long about how comparing and expectations are the roots of why we suffer. So be really mindful of how you're expending your energy, or how your energy is is your energy being drained by certain things? Because I can tell you that unfortunately in this world we live in, almost everything is trying to suck your attention, suck your energy out of you. And how is it sucking the energy out of you? Through your attention. So if you have an ex, for example, that's being difficult, or if you're in a relationship with someone toxic, they're usually going to be cleverly taking your attention. Or more correctly, they're usually going to be taking your energy through your attention, right? So they're going to be able to know how to push the right buttons in you to capture your attention, to take your energy, to drain you. What they're after is that energy, right? So people out in the world can also do this. And it goes both ways. You're going to meet people out in the world who are going to energize you. And how are they going to energize you? By giving you that attention, right? That kindness, that love, right? That caring, that compassion. It's usually, those things come behind attention. Attention is the outlet of everything. Okay? Now, for all of you out there as well, like going, like for the guys, for the women, also be very careful. There's different types of attention that we can receive. Let's say if you're a female and you are loving the attention you get, but in order to get attention, let's say from guys, you feel like you've got to send a picture of your legs or your body, or you've got to use your sexuality to get attention. Well, yes, you're getting attention, but what's coming, what's the content of that? What's coming behind that attention? Is it true, genuine compassion and caring and love? Or are the intentions behind that, the attention, the intent behind the attention, something more toxic and actually draining rather than giving? So it can get pretty deep, and all of this really ought to be in a book, you know, and I am slowly working on a book, but they're all out in the videos that I write. Just make notes, you know, be very aware. Your attention is really like the easy way for you to direct and navigate through your life. You know, put your attention onto things that serve you, right? Be aware of the things that don't. Okay, so Facebook might be, you could use Facebook to serve you. You know, for example, the way that some people, or the way that I'm currently using Instagram to serve me is I don't add or I don't follow anyone except for just a few sources of motivating, inspiring, energetic information and knowledge, right? If I open my Instagram, it has to wind up serving me. And you can feel it when it doesn't. You can feel, you're going to feel drained, you're going to feel like crap. Apply this principle to everything. The foods that you eat, how do you feel after you eat them? The music that you listen to, how do you feel after? And be very aware of this deception that can take place, you know, which a good analogy or example is the example of like heroin. It feels great, but what you want to pay attention to is how you feel after you do something. How do you feel after you've done heroin or ecstasy? It feels like crap the next day. It feels horrible. It's the worst feeling. You know, how do you feel after a hard workout? Yes, at the time a workout might suck. It might suck when you're doing push-ups, but how do you feel after you've done it? You feel energized. You feel so strong. You know, cold showers is one for me. Like, nobody likes to do a cold shower, but how do you feel afterwards? Amazing. You feel so energized and buzzing with life for an entire, maybe 2 or 3 days after it. It's worth it. Whereas seems like the opposite is true. You do something that feels so stimulating and euphoric just for a moment, and it can have that crash, whether it's, the explosion of like an orgasm, whether you're watching porn or, whatever it is. Feels amazing in that moment, but then afterwards you feel that depression, that come down, that, just, so be so aware of all these things. And eventually, as I say, pain is the greatest teacher. So if you're out there listening to all this and you're thinking, okay, this is all easy to say, difficult to do, in the end, your suffering and your pain is going to force you to either wake up and steer yourself onto the correct path, or it's going to hurt you more and more and more, whether it's through disease, through physical pain, mental illness, physical illness. Excessive anything in life usually carries with it some damage. If you're way too extremely sexually active, you're probably going to wind up at one point catching an STD. It's nature's way of slowing you down and saying, slow down. You're doing that too much. If you continue while you have an STD and you're still way overboard, sleeping with people left, right, and center, you'll get a worse STD. Right? So nature gives us signs to say, hey, you're doing this too much, you gotta back off. If I'm fighting too much in the gym, there will be injuries, there's so many different injuries you can get in fighting. I've got to find that balance, how much to train, how hard to train, how clever to train, and what's going to teach me that balance. Ultimately, the best teacher of all will be suffering and pain, right? But it doesn't need to be that way. You can learn and be smart from the suffering and pain of others, people who have come before you, who are teaching and passing knowledge on to you. I've been very fortunate to have had those people in my life who have gone through pain and suffering and all sorts of damage and injury and disease and whatnot, and I have taken their teachings and I've applied it best I can in my life. And there's many people out there who do the same. So I encourage you to be that. Take the advice. There's plenty of great teachings and knowledge from people that have gone through all that pain to spare you from going through it. Okay, so just a few thoughts and ideas on alternative thoughts and ideas to how to be more productive, how to find more time, how to get things done more so that you can enjoy your free time more. All right? So I'm sure, like most of my videos, at the end of this, I'm going to turn this off and be like, damn it, forgot to mention that. But it's okay, I'm going to keep making more and more videos. And if any of you guys out there have questions or want advice on anything, any more specific advice for specific circumstances, I don't coach more than 5 or 6 people at any one time, okay? I put my information down below for private coaching. I do everything pretty much by Skype. I do messaging sessions, which are a lot more lower in price, and then I do audio calls, only audio by Skype call. Because where I live out in the middle of nowhere, up on a mountain, and my internet here isn't the best. So it's pretty basic, but it's been working pretty well for the last 4 years now, 3.5 years, been coaching. So, sending everybody out there all the very best. If you're watching this video, the chances are that you're on the right path, not because you're watching my video, there's a lot of great videos out there, but if you're watching videos like this, reading books about how to improve and be better at whatever it is, chances are you're on the right path. So just continue, just keep going, okay? And strengthen the part of your mind that is tied to your self-belief, right? Self-belief above all things. Self-doubt has very little place in our life to help us succeed. Very little. One could argue that there is truth to the reasons for why you doubt. But more importantly than if there is truth to those things is, does it make you perform better knowing and believing those things that you believe to be truths? I hope that makes sense. More importantly than whether or not something negative and true in your life is whether or not it helps you to believe that. For example, if I'm in a fight and someone knocks me down or takes me down, yes, it's true that I'm in a bad situation and my life is more difficult now and I have a much greater challenge ahead of me. But do those thoughts help me in that moment? Most likely they are not. They're going to help keep me down. Whereas when I'm on the floor and I need to get back up, I need to be thinking more along the lines of self-belief. I can get up, I will get up, I am powerful, I am capable, I am able to stand up and turn this around and defeat my opponent and accomplish my goals. Those thoughts more likely help us than the negative thoughts. Okay? Because at the end of the day, yes, you're going to be able to find 1,000 truths that are negative, and they're true. But you will also be able to find 1,000 truths that are positive. You'll even be able to find 1,001 truths that are positive that will help you. And they're true as well. All it is that you've got to work on strengthening your ability, which is part of your brain. I like to call it the positive part of your brain that in a lot of us is just out of shape. And our negative part of our brain, which in a lot of us is very in shape and very strong because we're constantly thinking negatively. So all it is strengthening the part of your brain that will recognize and be able to see those 1,001 positive truths that exist. And how do we strengthen that part of our brain? There are simple exercises. Every day, writing down 3 things you're grateful for is a very simple way to just, it's like doing little mental push-ups. Strengthening, it's basically you're putting effort to like think what was positive that happened today. And that process, when you're putting that effort to think, that's what you want to strengthen. That's what you're making stronger. If you do like 3 a day, before you realize it, in a few months, that part becomes so strong that it becomes just easy to see all the positive around you, right? In the same way that it's so easy for so many of us to see all the negative around us, okay? So I hope this video helps, sending everybody out there all the very best. You know, life is amazing, it's a blessing, this existence, whether you're feeling pain or ease or euphoria or whatever you're feeling, it's just a tremendous experience that we're all on. And it's better to feel it than not, you know? So ride this life like you would be riding a surfboard on a wave. Try to like make your life steer away from difficulty, using a lot of things that I'm sharing, that I have learned and I'm passing on from people that I have learned from and passing on to everybody out there watching this. You can have a wonderful life if you start now and work on reducing what putting your attention onto the things that don't serve you, and increasing putting your attention onto the things that do serve you. So adios for now. Hope it helps, and sending everybody out there all the very best. Bye.